Alrighty, let's try this a third time. So hopefully third time is a charm and see if this auto is working. We're going to start off with chapter 1, section 1, which is patterns and expressions. The first example is asking us to find the next figure in the pattern. So if we look at this pattern, notice how it starts with 3 sides, 4 sides, 5 sides, 6 sides. So the next object, if they would want you to draw it, is going to then have one more additional side, so a 7-sided shape. Alrighty, take a look at number 2. For this one, if we were going to draw the next figure in the pattern like it asked us to, notice how they all have one red square in the middle. And then for the first figure, there's one white square coming out of each side. The next one, 2 white squares coming from each side. The next one is 3 white squares from each side. So this next one, if we're going to draw it, is going to have a red square in the middle and then 4 different squares going each direction. Alrighty, try number 3. Now for number 3, there's a second part to it. So let's take a look at this one. So for this one, I recommend that you make a table. So the first, the left side on this table, it says the figure number, and then these are supposed to be toothpicks in my figure, so the number of toothpicks. So for the first figure, you'll notice there would be a total of 4 toothpicks. For the second figure, you'll notice if I add those all together, there would be 8 toothpicks. This third figure, if I add up all the toothpicks, there would be a total of 12 of them. So there's a couple different parts that they're asking us to do. The first part says how many toothpicks are in the 20th figure. Now notice I have 80 toothpicks. How I got that, I was looking at my table. So I was trying to find the pattern between the figure number and the number of toothpicks. So the pattern was taking the figure number and multiplying it by 4. So if I keep doing that, you'll notice that it works. So 1 times 4 is 4, 2 times 4 is 8, 3 times 4 is 12. So if I wanted to know for the 20th figure, I'm just going to multiply that by 4, my pattern, to get 80 toothpicks. Now, the second part to the question is asking us how many toothpicks are in the nth figure. Well, since my pattern is multiplying the figure number by 4, if I just generalize this now and I put it in here, multiply it by 4, then I'm going to get 4n, which is then my answer, 4n. So let's try this last problem. So if I'm looking at it, and this is my pattern. Okay, and the 2 parts to this question are how many tiles are in the 25th figure and how many tiles are in the nth figure. So looking at this, I'm going to make a table like before. And notice it does have one red square in it, but neither of the questions is really pertains to that, so don't worry about that part. So we're going to compare the figure number and the number of total tiles. So in the first figure, there's 4 tiles. Second figure, there's 6 tiles. Third figure, there is 8 tiles. So I'm trying to find then the pattern. So I'll give you a little bit of time to look for that pattern. And you'll notice the pattern is I'm doubling this number and then adding 2. So let's try it and see if it works. So if I double this number, 1 times 2, I get 2, plus 2, I get 4. Double this number, I get 4, plus 2, I get 6. Double this number, I get 6, plus 2, I get 8. So it's working every single time. I'm doubling that figure number and then adding 2 to get to the number of tiles. So if I continue that, then to get the 25th figure, I'm doubling it and then adding 2. So if I do that, my answer should be a total of 52 tiles. Alrighty, now if I generalize this and I want to know how many tiles are in the nth figure, then I'm going to do that same pattern. So doubling just n, and you can use any variable that you want to, and then add 2 to it. Okay, and so that is going to be my answer, 2n plus 2. The reason in algebra that they ask you to use n is just to generalize it. That way they can ask you however, whatever figure number they want you to, that you just plug that in for your n and you can figure out how many tiles or whatever the object is.